Today I will discuss the material and enjoy watching ownership structure in corporate governance. 1. Introduction. Ownership structure is a fundamental element in corporate governance that defines who controls the firm and how decisions are made. It determines the distribution of rights, responsibilities, and power among shareholders, management, and other stakeholders. A well-designed ownership structure supports accountability, strategic alignment, and long-term value creation. 2. Definition of ownership structure. Ownership structure refers to the composition and distribution of equity ownership in a company. It includes the identity of the shareholders, for example, individuals, institutions, state, families, and the concentration of ownership, for example, dispersed or concentrated. 3. Types of ownership structures. 3.1. Concentrated ownership. A few shareholders own a large portion of the company's shares. This is common in many Asian and European countries. Examples: family-owned businesses, state-owned enterprises, SOEs. Majority institutional investors. Advantages: stronger control and monitoring, faster decision-making, alignment of ownership and management. Disadvantages: risk of expropriation of minority shareholders, lower transparency, potential nepotism or favoritism. 3.2. Dispersed ownership. Ownership is widely spread among many small shareholders, common in Anglo-American systems, for example, US and UK. Advantages: more democratic decision-making, higher market liquidity, stronger pressure for transparency. Disadvantages: weak control over management, agency problem, collective action problem among shareholders. 3.3. Institutional ownership includes pension funds, insurance companies, mutual funds, and hedge funds holding significant shares. Impacts: can improve monitoring of management, may influence short-term performance, focus professional governance practices. 3.4. State ownership. The government holds a majority or minority stake. Common in strategic sectors, energy, infrastructure, developing countries. Risks: political interference, conflicting social and commercial objectives. 3.5. Foreign ownership. Foreign investors or multinational corporations hold shares. Pros: brings in capital and expertise, promotes governance reforms. Cons: sensitivity to exchange rates and policy changes, cultural or regulatory friction. 4. Ownership and control mechanisms. Ownership does not always equate to control. Mechanisms that separate the two include dual-class shares. One class of shares has more voting rights than others. Pyramid structures. Control is exerted through layers of ownership. Cross-shareholdings. Firms hold shares in each other to reinforce control. Voting agreements. Shareholders collaborate to increase control over decisions. These structures can entrench management or controlling shareholders, creating governance challenges. 5. Impact on corporate governance. The ownership structure directly influences how a company is governed. 5.1. Agency problems. Type I. Agency problem: conflict between owners, shareholders, and managers. Type 2. Agency problem: conflict between majority and minority shareholders. 5.2. Monitoring effectiveness. Large shareholders have more incentive to monitor management. In dispersed ownership, monitoring is typically delegated to the board or external auditors. 5.3. Board composition and independence. Concentrated ownership may reduce the need for independent directors. Dispersed ownership benefits from stronger board oversight and governance policies. 6. Ownership and firm performance. Empirical research shows mixed results. Concentrated ownership can enhance performance through better monitoring. Dispersed ownership fosters innovation and transparency. Family ownership may outperform in the long term due to aligned incentives, but may also resist professionalization. Institutional ownership can improve governance but sometimes favors short-term gains. 7. Evolution and Trends in Ownership Structures 7.1. Globalization and Cross-Border Ownership, Rise of Foreign Institutional Investors. Global Pressure for Improved Governance Standards 7.2. Rise of Private Equity and Venture Capital, Strong Governance Practices with Focus on Value Creation and Exit Strategies 7.3. ESG and Active Ownership, Institutional Investors increasingly push for ESG integration. Shareholder Activism Shaping Board Accountability 8. Ownership Structure in Different Economic Systems 9. Corporate Governance Reforms Influenced by Ownership, Introduction of Minority Shareholder Protections. Promotion of Transparency and Disclosure. Encouraging Board Independence and Diversity. Policies to separate ownership and control, especially in SOEs. 10. Best Practices for Managing Ownership Structures, Transparent Disclosure of Ownership and Control Rights. Clear Policy on Related Party Transactions. Protection of Minority Shareholder Rights. Balanced Board Composition reflecting ownership mix. Encourage long-term shareholding through incentive alignment. 11. Case Studies. Alibaba, China uses a variable interest entity, VIE, and dual-class share structure. Raises concerns about minority shareholder rights despite global listing. Facebook, Meta Platforms Incorporated founder Mark Zuckerberg retains control through dual-class shares, leading to debates on accountability and governance risks. Toyota, Japan cross-shareholding model within Keiretsu corporate group, resulting in high stability but also criticism of entrenchment. 12. Conclusion. Ownership structure is not just a financial issue, it's a governance imperative. The way ownership is distributed and exercised has profound effects on accountability and oversight, risk appetite, strategic direction, stakeholder protection. As businesses evolve, balancing control and accountability through optimal ownership structures is key to sustainable success.